Shalom, giving all praise to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakak Madash. Double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone for teaching this truth that's going all around the earth. Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. It's your brother, Atatwan Bayah. And I'm going to bring a lesson this evening, but first we're going to go through this copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use, okay, for educational purposes, scholarship, research, and so on, okay. I do not profit off of anything that is on this channel. I do not own the rights to any images or music and so on and so forth, all right. So we're going to first get that out the way, and the reason being because I want to use a clip from an old television show known as the Flip Wilson Show. When I was a little kid, this used to come on television once a week. I can't remember the day, but it always had little skits, and and there's probably some people out there, all right. I guess I'm dating myself, who've never heard of Flip Wilson, right? And who you see in front of you is a young Richard Pryor. But anyway, the Flip Wilson Show used to have all kinds of guest stars, if you will. Bill Cosby, Red Fox, Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Jackson Five, so on and so on. Used to come on this variety show. And Flip Wilson was, I think, the first so-called black man to ever own the rights to his show on television. Okay. But anyway, this is a little skit that he used to have with this character he had. He called him Reverend Leroy. And Reverend Leroy from the Church of What's Happening Now. Okay. But anyway, in light of what's going on in obviously the so-called Christian churches, the wackiness that's going on in there, and then of course this week, in which I'm not going to delve into it too much because the elders and the big brothers have already dealt with it, and they are far more greater skilled than I am to address the issues of IUIC, ISUPK, and all of their wacky, weird doctrines that they're spewing out like vomit, okay, over the last couple of weeks. And it just reminded me of this character. And this clip is about 10 minutes long. I don't know if we'll watch all of it, just a certain portion of it, I think. We'll watch and we'll get some scriptures. But it just goes into really how we were victims of errant, false, bad preaching. Plain and simple. Going off in the scriptures, not telling the truth. Well, they tell the truth, but only part of it. Okay? And they mix it up with all kind of other shit. And, you know, this was kind of hilarious to me, and just trying to lighten the mood a little bit, because, you know, we not all stone-faced and serious, 24 hours a day. We got to laugh at some stuff too. So without further ado, let me go ahead and play this clip, and, and then we'll get a couple of scriptures on it. Let me see. I guess I could leave it large, right? And then we'll hit play here. Let's see.
You're welcome to the first social of the year. I'm glad that everybody came. And I knew I was going to need help to fill up this church, especially on a Friday night. Because that's a hard night to do anything. And when I need help, I always meditate. And you know what I do? I ask God to help me. I called on God. I said, God, you are the chairman of the board, and I'm merely a rising
see, this is what, for those who are younger, what's been described as plantation Christianity, right? This is what we, our parents and our grandparents brought us up in.
I'm sending you somebody, not just anybody, but somebody gonna help you get the word across to the brothers and sisters. You know, I met this brother back in 1959. 1959, that was the year I got my car. I never will forget it. Of course, I didn't meet the brother in the same place I met the Lord. No, no. I met the brother in the pool room. And I met the Lord in jail. I was in there for stealing a car. But seriously, without further ado, a man come all the way from the church of what's happening now. A man in his own right. A dear friend. Reverend Leroy. I would say thank you, brothers and sisters. I don't want to take much of your time, it's just a word or two. I wanted to give a little sermon that is a favorite with my congregation. And it's dedicated to those who aren't working. I won't go to the extent of naming names because I feel that the people who aren't working know who they are. Now, in order for me to make my point, I must tell you the story about King Nebuchadnezzar and the Hebrew boys. That is to help me make my point. You know what I mean? I must make my point. Otherwise, there's no use. Preaching is a lot like shooting craps. If you don't make your point, it don't mean a thing.
Jake is a fool.
King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylonia. They called him king of the good times. Because in Babylonia, every night was a party night. They had casinos there that never closed. There were scarlet women of all colors, showing everything they had to whoever wanted to see it. And there were a lot of big eyes in Babylonia. In Babylonia, every night was Saturday night. And the kids wouldn't go to bed when their parents told them. It was a wicked town. Wicked town. Now, a few miles down the road in Jerusalem lived the Hebrews. They worked for God. They was good. And Nebuchadnezzar was bad. And bad don't like good. Bad don't like good, does it? Y'all know that. Bad cannot stand good. So he said to himself, he said, self, I believe that I will drop in on the Hebrews and give them some trouble. That's the way trouble is. It drops in on you. You don't expect just out of the sky some trouble just drop. You say, well, why is this happening to me? That's your problem. They were right outside of town, and the voice in the middle of the night said, halt, who goes there? That is what the voice said. It was a little Hebrew boy named Daniel. The king answered, what is your name? The Hebrew boy said, sir, my name is Daniel. So he told him, my name is Daniel. Daniel was a good boy. And his mother had told him, whenever you're speaking to your elders, say, sir. That's why he said, sir, my name is Daniel. The king didn't like good boys. So he said, tie him up. When we get back, I'm going to throw him to the lions. Then the king and his army marched into town and went wild. They shot up the place. They broke out all the windows. They tore out all the street lights. They walked all over people's gardens, and they scared the children. Get a shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame. When he got back home, the first thing Nebuchadnezzar did was count his loot. He captured 4 Hebrew boys. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and a big Negro. He also captured 15 slave girls and a solid gold dinner service to 12 that he stolen from a Hebrew temple. There was a bunch of other stuff that he took too, but I don't have time to name it all right now. But a complete list of the items taken will be for sale after the service. I recommend y'all pick one up. time it started to get cold in the throne room. So Nebuchadnezzar said to the guards, he said, fetch Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And when the guards had brought them forth, he said unto the guards, throw these chumps into the fire. The king didn't know that the Lord was watching. Well, the Lord was looking through the wall. He can look through the wall. A lot of people don't know that. The Lord can look through a wall better than Clark Kent. An X-ray vision. And the King Nebuchadnezzar didn't know that the Lord had come to the Hebrew boys earlier, and he told me, he said, when they get ready to throw you in the fire, do not struggle, because I got you covered. That's what he told him. I got you covered. Isn't that beautiful to be covered? True and wonderful. True, am I telling the truth, Reverend Elmo? As far as I know. And when the guards put the Hebrew boys in the fire, it sputtered and went out. The fire just sputtered and went out. Didn't singe a hair on their head. I will not say that they didn't get thirsty, but the fire sputtered and went out. I want y'all to tell me what the fire did. It sputtered and went out. Then he said unto the guards, bring in that sucker Daniel. They brought in Daniel and said, throw that sucker to the lion. Isn't that outrageous? So, Daniel, the nice little boy that said, sir, my name is Daniel. Said, to the lions with him. Lord had come to Daniel too. Said, Daniel, when they throw you in the lions, in the cage there, don't struggle. So Daniel went in the cage and he stood there and he looked at the lions. And the lions looked at Daniel. Then the lions looked at each other. And Daniel looked at the lions while they were looking at each other. Then he looked at the king. He said, sir, the lions ain't hungry. He said, the lions ain't hungry. The king said, verily, verily, I say unto you that you're going to stay in there till they get hungry. Because the lions have no place to go. The lions have no appointment. You might have a commitment from the Rams, but the lions have no place to go. That night, the king had a mighty feast, and the king spake unto the multitude, saying, let the good times roll. Run that by me one more time. Let the good times roll. And they did. Yes, and just as Nebuchadnezzar raised that cup to his mouth, the Lord stepped through the wall. Zap! Didn't bust a brick. Stepped right through the wall, and he wrote something on it. Had one of them pencils that you write on the wall with. Then they call them marker pencils. Wrote on the wall. The king said, did I see what I saw? And the multitude said unto him, we saw you when you seen it. Yes. Then he asked for his glasses. King needed glasses because his vision was weak. It's like I've been telling y'all, too much sex weakens the vision. You don't have to have good vision when you're the king, because generally the people around you see it your way anyway. King still couldn't read the writing on the wall, so he sent for Daniel. And he said, Daniel, read that writing. Daniel beheld the wall. He said, sir, it's a letter from the Lord. King said, but what does the letter say, chump? Daniel told him, it says, dear king, I've been looking through a lot of walls lately, and I've seen what you've been doing to the people who work for me. Said, I saw you throw the Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace. Said, I saw you throw Daniel in the lion's den. And I saw you drinking from my gold cups, and the party's over. That's what he told him. The party is over. So I say to you brothers and sisters out there who aren't working, the Lord's unemployment office is open 24 hours a day. Get a job working for the Lord. In retirement age, there's a bonus of eternal life. When you work for the Lord, he got you covered. Amen. Amen.
So anyway, we get to get to these scriptures here, and just making a little bit of light of things. We've had this errant preaching around us for so long, and now the truth is here. It's unveiled. The Lord has sent prophets back in the earth to teach us the truth, namely the apostles of Great Millstone and the brothers on down. Okay? And now we don't have to be in the dark, right? The Lord had mercy on us, and if we be of the hopeful elect, we'll get out of here in good shape. But for the sake of the lesson and commentary, let's look at because in the skit, he referenced some things, and he had a little bit of truth mixed in with his story, right? But it wasn't the whole truth, and that's what you're seeing in these Christian churches, and now not just now, but I mean I haven't been in the truth as long as all these other brothers, but this whole thing that's going on with IUIC and ISUPK this past week is it's atrocious. Okay, but this just kind of reminded me of how you get some truth, mixed truth, stories, lies. You know what I mean? Just mixed in, just a whole gumbo of wickedness. All right. So anyway, not to ramble on, this is Daniel 3:19, and we'll just touch on this a little bit. You go back and read. I would start at Daniel 2 and read all of it. He mixed in two different stories, two different occasions. Okay, so let's go to Daniel 3:19. It reads, "Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of the visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 1/7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace." And this is for the benefit also of the new sheep. Maybe you haven't gotten to this point where you've read this, in the scriptures, okay? So now you know where he got this little skit from. Verse 21, "Then these men were bound in their coats, their hoses, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego." Yeah, it was so hot that even the men that were supposed to carry him there died. You see? Going on, and these three men, Shadrach and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, "Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire?" That's the question to his men. They answered and said unto the king, "True, O king." And he answered and said, "Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of the Most High." Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High Power, come forth and come hither." Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon those bodies. The fire had no power, nor was an hair on their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, "Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own power." You see? So you can go on and read the rest of that, in your own time. And then we'll look at this quickly in Daniel 6 with Daniel. If I can get to it. Let me see. I guess I'll start at the top. It says, Daniel serves Darius. Verse 1, "It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm." So Daniel was more special than all the other men, and the king liked him the most. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find no occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his power. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom and the governors and the princes and counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Okay, so they were plotting against Daniel. Okay, trying to get him out the way, for lack of a better way of saying it. All right, verse 8. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree, and now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber towards Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his power as he did aforetime. Like he always prayed, right? Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his power. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, now the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, know, O king, that the law of the Medes and the Persians is that no decree or statute which the king established may be changed. Okay, and then it goes into Daniel in the lion's den. So that's where you'll find that story, to which Reverend Leroy was making a spoof and a mockery of, to get his own little point across, I would imagine, in the skit, right? But you see this going on, this nonsense that's going on within Israel today, you see, with wacky, crazy suggestions on the scriptures. Okay, this is Jeremiah 23:1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord Yahweh. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel, against the pastors that feed my flock. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord Yahweh, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them. And that's going on now, right? Because we're not a part of this nonsense that's going on in the world, even in the nation of Israel, with these other organizations and their leaders, okay, so-called, okay, because they're royally effing up, okay. Verse 4 again, and I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. This is Matthew 7. Let's roll them out. See? A tree and its fruits. And this is how you know these men who are not, whom the Lord is not dealing with. Okay? This is Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by the fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. But if a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring fruit, A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. And these other men and these other organizations are showing you their corrupt fruit. Okay? This is John 10, and it's in red, right? So this is Yahushua speaking, and we'll read down just a little bit. Okay? This is the parable of the good shepherd. Okay? And the Lord said he was going to set up shepherds, okay, for that remnant. So this is John 10 and 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. You see, doing it the right way. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by his name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. You see, anybody who's preaching a wicked doctrine, okay, is a stranger. We don't know that. You know, we don't know them. Salakia. All right? And you run away from that. You flee from people like that. This is verse 6. This parable spake Yahushua unto them, but they answered not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Yahushua unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. See? I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief cometh not but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. Okay? So you get these wicked leaders, okay? And they will scatter the sheep. All right? Let's go on just a little bit further. This is John 10 and 13. The hireling fleeth because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and I am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Salakia. Sometimes this thing just has a mind of its own. Okay, so let's go down to verse 16. I believe. The other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Yeah, those who are scattered all around, who will eventually hear this word and come back. All right. I think that's enough. We'll stop right there. I don't want to go on too much longer. And then let's just get this last scripture, and we'll shut it down. So this is Ephesians, and this is what we have to do now, right? Ephesians, we're jumping right there, verse 6. Ephesians 5 and 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of the Most High upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them, right? You know, if it is any elect among IUIC, ISUPK, you know, they better get from around those men. All right, verse 8. For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as light, children of light. Salakia. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, providing what is acceptable unto the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. And that's what you saw by our leaders this whole week with all the videos, okay, rebuking ISUPK and IUIC, okay, particularly their leaders, right? Let's go on to verse 12. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light, for whatsoever doeth make manifest is light. Wherefore he saith, awake, thou that sleepeth, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach shall give thee light. See then that ye walk what? Circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Right? And Reverend Leroy is a facsimile thereof of what we're seeing today. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and when you put a little bit of leaven in, you leaven the whole loaf, so the whole damn thing is wrong. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone for teaching this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'll see you on the next video real soon, Lord willing. Shalom.